That was nothing short of a tremendous drive by the Houston Texans. 86 yards.
That was an Arian Foster touchdown run. The last time the Houston Texans played a playoff game in Baltimore, Maryland. It was a bitter defeat. Houston lost 20-13. But in that game, I thought they showed some balls, some chutzpah, toughness that, quite honestly, we have not seen much of from the Houston Texans in their history. They lost the game, and yet I think it was maybe their best ever playoff performance. I mean, this is a game where the Texans had not one, but two chances to win in the final minute, despite Jacoby Jones muffing a punt inside the 10-yard line and TJ Yates throwing 3 interceptions. It could have been a lot more. And yet, they were as close as Neil Rackers was to hitting that 50-yard field goal off the crossbar that would have made it a 1-point game late. They played their ass off in this game. So, what are we going to do for you today? We are going to be the deep steel blue chew to get you your battle red pants tent for Saturday and vengeance in Baltimore. Today, we're going to be like Arian Foster in that game. 27 carries for 132 yards and a touchdown. We're going to be like Andre Johnson in that game. 8 catches for 111 yards. We're going to be like J.J. Watt in the J.J. Watt coming out party. 12 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 QB hits. That's us today, baby. We are going to get you pumped for this game. And honestly, by the end of it, we might have you believing that they're going to go on the road and beat the 1 seed Ravens. But let's bring it to the present. On Saturday, after CJ Stroud and the Texans had mollywopped the Cleveland Browns 45-14, CJ Stroud said, look, there's always things to improve on, but we are playing the best ball that we ever have right now.
I mean, you can always say there's things to work on, and we're going to look back and look at plays that we want back, of course, but that's kind of just how football goes, you know. So we're playing our best ball as of right now these last 3 weeks, really. So that's really what you want.
Everything seems to be coming together from a health perspective. Will Anderson, Malik Collins, Jonathan Grenard, Denzel Perriman, Sheldon Rankins, Blake Cashman, Christian Harris, all off the injured report. Robert Woods, John Mechie on the offensive side off of it as well. George Fant questionable with an illness, but you expect him to play. They're as close to full strength as they're ever going to be. They're going to go on the road and play in Baltimore. The temperature is going to be, per our own meteorologist Sean Mapes, of around 22 to 18. Might be some winds, might be some leftover snow. It's not going to be ideal like playing inside at NRG Stadium. But I feel like they've got a real shot in this one. Let's give you some serious analysis before we get goofy and make you believe that the entire world is out to get the Houston Texans. The Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald, is arguably the best defensive coordinator in the NFL right now. The reason he is thought to be the best defensive coordinator in the NFL and why he's a hot coaching commodity is because, unlike so many defensive minds out there, he actually seems to have some sort of blueprint to stop all of these Kyle Shanahan disciple offenses. And take a look at what that Ravens defense has done against the likes of Joe Burrow the last couple of years. Zach Taylor coming from that tree. Look at what they did a couple of weeks ago against the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan himself. Look at what they did a couple of weeks ago against the Miami Dolphins and Mike McDaniel. I mean, he's done a hell of a job this year. And that Ravens defense has some players, Roquan Smith, Patrick Queen, Bradley Roby at corner, even if Marlon Humphrey's going to be out. Kyle Hamilton, who you are probably going to see a lot of, just like you saw a lot of that dude, what's his name, J.O.K. on the Browns. That guy played out of his ass on Saturday, like that out of his mind. I guess you can't really play out of your ass. Played out of his mind on Saturday. Kyle Hamilton's that kind of a player. They got some players on defense. And I'm wondering if Mike McDaniel's history of success against these Kyle Shanahan disciples applies to this matchup. Because the big difference is the quarterback. Now, Joe Burrow, Mike McDaniel's used to going up against Joe Burrow. So he knows a thing or two about him, and I think that explains some of the recent success that Baltimore in particular has had against Cincy. But Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, those guys aren't on the same level as CJ Stroud. They're just not. They're not as talented. Stroud is accurate on a level that very few other quarterbacks are. Stroud is patient, calm, and collected on a level that very few other quarterbacks are. CJ Stroud does not make mistakes. And in that first game against Baltimore with an awful offensive line, largely due to injuries, largely due to the fact that they were out of sync, he was running for his life, but he still looked respectable. Now in the divisional round of the playoffs, how much better is this going to look? I do think that CJ Stroud breaks this a little bit. And look, maybe if there's a third matchup between the Texans and a Mike McDonald-led defense in Baltimore, okay, maybe they have a better idea of what CJ Stroud can do. But I think this one, when they first get a taste of CJ Stroud, I think they are going to be a bit surprised. And we've heard all of the praise that guys that have gone up against CJ Stroud, those two Colt defenders, Speed and Franklin, what they had said on that podcast earlier in the week. I think it's one thing to watch it on film. It is another thing entirely to go up against it and see some of the subtle things that Stroud is clearly doing, looking off defensive backs, making just the smart decisions. He's been better about not taking bad sacks. We've seen in Stroud from week to week, honestly, go all the way back to the preseason, noticeable improvements in some way, shape, or form. And I mean, it got to the point on Saturday where he didn't even need to play in the second half. Now, Texans defense deserves some credit for that, but the way that they closed out that first half against the Browns, I mean, you got to give Bobby Slowick a lot of credit, but you also got to give the Texans offense a lot of credit, and of course, CJ Stroud a ton of credit. On the other side, that's key number one. Key number two, Lamar Jackson's got Todd Monken as his offensive coordinator. He's got Zay Flowers. He's got Odell Beckham Jr. They might have Mark Andrews. Doesn't sound like that's a, honestly, 50% proposition. It sounded kind of doubtful hearing it from Mark Andrews himself. Is an entire season of Ravens offense going to make them look better than they did in that week one game? Because for what it's worth, the Texans defense did a really good job, I thought, of making Lamar Jackson think. It's not to say he can't think, but everything was difficult. The scrambles were difficult. The easy completions that he was getting for like 2-3 yards and not much after the catch, it was tough for the Ravens to move the ball throwing it. And the Texans defense has been very good against the run this year. Are they going to continue that? There's only been one game where they looked poor against it. It was against Jonathan Taylor and the Colts. Otherwise, they have been superb against the run. So this is going to ultimately come down to Lamar Jackson, 1-3 in the playoffs, 65 QBR. From what I understand, there's only one quarterback in NFL history that's got a lower rating than him. It's Mitchell Trubisky, which is stunning because I think Lamar Jackson's a good quarterback. I truly do. But he's got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. And yeah, I think the idea of playing with house money is bull. It is. It's the NFL. You don't know when you're going to be back here again. But at the same time, the Texans are kind of playing with house money against Lamar. Can they make him make mistakes? Because if we're taking a look at a rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud and in Lamar Jackson, based off of what we know about the two of them right now, the guy more likely to make mistakes, and this is not a major indictment on him, it's just Jackson because Stroud's been so damn careful with the football. So those are my official hot takes about the Houston Texans and the Baltimore Ravens tomorrow, 3:30. And don't forget, there's going to be a post-game show here, ESPN 97.5, 92.5, and youtube.com/ESPN Houston, where we discuss this game, Michael Connor, Josh Beard, and me. Sean Mapes behind the glass. You got your tie-dye headband on. Hair is flowing. How you feeling right now? What are you looking at in this matchup?
Oh, that was the end of the...
That was a terrible question. I'm sorry.
I
set you up horribly. I set you up horribly. I was TJ Yates trying to throw it downfield on 1st and 10 with 2 minutes to go for no reason, straight to Ed Reed. I just TJ Yates did. Damn it.
I was ready,
bad energy.
Ready for in this matchup.
Sean, I need a hot
two
take.
of the best quarterbacks in the league.
I need a hot take. I need a hot take.
I mean, CJ Stroud going up against another, probably a better defense than the one he played last week, which was one of the top defenses in the league. So that to me, and with what you mentioned with Mike McDonald having success against the Shanahan McVay kind of offenses, that to me is also the okay, so this might be not just a CJ Stroud versus the defense. This might be a Bobby Slowick versus Mike McDonald. There's so many Mike Micks, by the way. It's way too many of them.
Get these damn Irish people out of our league.
Or, I don't know.
These potato-eating
Do you have to be
Catholics.
Coaching? What? Do they all have to be coaches? One of them work in the front office.
It's anti-Irish discrimination.
I tried to promote them to the front office.
Oh, okay, gotcha. That's true. Yeah,
I'm
get
a
to
soldier.
the top.
Yeah, I'm
right.
a soldier for battling for Irish.
You're the Irish Republican Army, Sean Mapes.
Well, I don't. I'll have to.
You don't bomb cars?
Yeah.
You do Irish car bombs, but you don't do Irish car bombs.
Yes, I disavow. It's Bobby Slowick versus Mike McDonald. All right, that's what this is. Do we get a, oh my God, we're gonna lose Bobby Slowick next year to a head coaching job, or is it going to be Bobby Slowick? This guy sucks. He's a first-time play caller. He's leaving a lot to be desired right now. That to me is the big difference because of what you outlined with McDonald's success against literally Kyle Shanahan and also his acolytes across the league.
Right. He's done well against them.
That's the biggest, okay, maybe he does just have a defense, the way he calls his defense, the way they disguise coverages, the way they play, whatever zone they're playing. Maybe that it really does is the fly in the ointment for this for the offense.
I don't want to ruin the vibes. I don't. But Slowick's interviews last night, 1 with the Carolina Panthers, 2 with the Tennessee Titans. Sean, as you correctly pointed out, we already have our narrative to focus on if the Texans offense doesn't look good.
And I'm not saying that it'll be right. I'm not saying that it'll for sure be wrong. I'm just saying that if the Texans roll out there and score 10 points, we'll have a narrative. That will be something that is discussed on Monday. How many head coaching interviews Bobby Slowick is taking. Now, guys have done this before.
They have.
He's not the first first coordinator ever to interview for jobs on a game week. I'm just saying it will be discussed 100%. On Monday.
100%. We'll talk about it a little bit more at 10:30 because I do not think it's that big of a deal. We'll also take a look at the latest desperation from the Tennessee Titans, the big games that are also taking place this weekend, divisional round weekend. It is the Paul Gallant Show, the most interactive sports talk show in Houston. You can join us on youtube.com/ESPN Houston. Frontrunner is asking, Paul, are you wearing makeup now? No, this is eye black. Get it right. Did you know that I'm an all-district safety from Florida? Yeah, that's right. And I'm bringing high energy today. You should be bringing high energy today. I'm going to get you even more worked up because the Texans are getting disrespected.
We love away games, man. Just the energy, the crowd. We know everybody's going to be against us, man, but we don't really focus on that, man. We just focus on going out there and just playing to the Texan standard. And that's just swarming, having fun, and just playing relentless.
That's Will Anderson. He likes playing on the road. Us against the world. Got a lot of that from the Houston Texans, specifically yesterday. And for a moment, I was a little bit annoyed, mainly because it does feel like NFL players feeling disrespected jumped the shark a long time ago. honestly, I'd point to the moment after the Patriots won Super Bowl 38 where Rodney Harrison said, nobody believed in us. You were playing Jake Delhomme in the Super Bowl and you had won 15 straight games. So everyone believed in you there, Rodney, and it's gotten crazier and crazier as the years go by. And then I saw these hats that the Houston Texans are wearing. They have a hat made by players Alex Bachman and Brady Breeze. What a great name. And it says, verse the world. It also has on the side of it, Romans 12:2. I looked this up in the Bible. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. I don't really know what that has to do with the Texans other than not conforming, but that almost makes it sound like a Gothic verse from the Bible. Don't conform. Don't be a conformist. Don't do that. But they're wearing those hats. I'm not the biggest fans of the hats. I'm not going to lie. There's more us against the world talk. Jonathan Grenard, who also, like Will Anderson, is expected to play on Saturday, has been annoyed by this idea that the Texans are playing with house money. Here is the Texans' sack leader.
I just still find it hard to believe that people discredit people that are in the NFL. We're all in the NFL. We're all grown men. We all get paid to play this game. I just never see how people can just flat out just say, hey, this team has no chance or these guys don't have no. If somebody told you couldn't beat this guy up that's sitting right next to you, you're going to look at them like crazy too, right? You're not just going to lay down and let a guy walk over you. So when people have these little experts and all that stuff, when they're saying certain things, they don't know what they're talking about. They have an idea what they're talking about based off of statistical numbers when you put that up. But as we all know, the stats don't always tell the whole story. So if you know true ball, you understand how ball works. You don't pay none of that stuff no mind. You just go out there and try to execute the best you can, and you understand who you got to line up in front of. And it's a different talk. They can always say this and that, but they're not the ones that's putting their hand in the dirt going against us. So we're going to go out there and keep having that underdog mentality. Obviously, we see it all, we hear it all, and it fuels us.
Okay. The underdog mindset is something that fuels the Texans. I do like hearing that. And after listening to a couple of podcasts and seeing a couple of predictions, after initially being a tad annoyed by this us against the world stuff, because I think everyone's rooting for the Texans on Saturday, but most pundits and prognosticators are picking against the Texans, and there's a reason that they are 9.5-point dogs against Baltimore. Part of it's because the Ravens are good, but I think there's also a little bit of leftover, hey, it's the Texans. You really think that they're going to win this game? No matter if there's C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson and Derek Stingley and Nico Collins and some of the really good players on this team, Laramie Tunsil. This is a very talented team when you look at it. And you forget about the fact that they're wearing that helmet with the Texas flag bull on the side of it. By the way, I have a holy relic in studio. I'm trying to bring positive vibes here, positive chakra. This helmet that I got right here, something I won when I was the Media Bowl MVP back in 2017. They gave me a nice little trophy for it after 5 touchdown passes that I caught from my boss, Mr. David Gow. Yes, 5 touchdown passes. Ask Raheel. There's a video of one of those. Double moved his ass. Cecil Shorts, former NFL wide receiver, was like, whoa! And I was like, hell yeah. I could have played in the game. Just needed to play in an offense that passed the football instead of the triple option, the wing T. But this helmet, this holy relic, is autographed by J.J. Watt, who, again, 2.5 sacks in Baltimore back in that 2011-2012 playoff game. 2.5 sacks. Positive vibes, baby. We're going to manifest it, Sean Mapes.
Yeah, last time the Texans played the Ravens in the playoffs, a rookie defensive end had 2.5 sacks.
Ooh. Will Anderson? Huh? We're going to give the Texans a little more motivation here, though, okay? We've been talking about the rat poison. You got to avoid the rat poison. Like Dan Orlovsky's talking about the Texans defense holding its own. And Louis Riddick pointing out how good C.J. Stroud is against zone coverage. The Ravens have the second best zone coverage in the NFL. And our guy, Brown Chubby Bear, comparing Stroud's playoff numbers to Jackson's playoff numbers. Even though it's just one game sample size, very, very easy to make it look good. You got to ignore the rat poison. Okay, C.J.? You ignore the rat poison, Houston Texans. Do it. On YouTube.com/ESPN Houston. Max Summers, say it loud. I'm Stroud and I'm proud. That's true, but I'm also ignoring the rat poison. KL Philly says Texas team. Texas versus the world at ESPN Houston on YouTube. Cool. But ignore the rat poison. It is Houston against the world. And I'm going to give you some stuff to get motivated by. 1, Bobby Slowick might leave you. Have you ever had somebody leave? My dad left me once. You know what sucks? That. Is losing your offensive coordinator the same thing? No. But hey.
It's kind of close.
You want to keep him.
Yeah. He's the offense's dad.
Right. CJ Stroud, it's not your fault that he might leave. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Well, he played too good.
He did play too good. Patrick Queen, Ravens defensive player. Really good linebacker. Did you hear what he had to say about this game? Did you hear what he said?
Just so much confidence. Almost cocky, but it's definitely, everybody's humble about it. Everybody know the task and what we can accomplish and the stuff that we can do, but it's also a realization that we don't take care of business, it'll be all for nothing. So everybody's locked in. It's just electric right now.
Now,
honestly.
we are irresponsible. Check that. My bad. We are responsible journalists. If we were irresponsible journalists, we would have cut out the second part of that clip. If we were irresponsible. But we're not. We wanted to provide context. But if there's anybody that wants to play Houston Texans Minister of Propaganda, get that audio, just cut the second half out. Cut the respect out, just play the first part.
Just so much confidence, almost cocky.
Sounds cocky to me. Patrick. You heard Lamar Jackson feeling very confident that the Ravens are going to score 20-plus points. More motivation? More fuel for the fire? The Ravens are going to have Jacoby Jones as the Ravens legend of the game. How dare they? Because, of course, Jacoby Jones muffed that punt against the Ravens at the beginning of that playoff game in 2011, 2012. That might have been the difference because the Ravens scored a touchdown there. Probably was the difference, to be perfectly honest. Honestly, you give Neil Racker some steroids so he could kick that ball one more yard. Oh, God, it's right off the front crossbar. Just doinking right straight down into the ground, 50 yards. Depressing. But Jacoby Jones, legend of the game, because he had that big touchdown reception that tied things up in that double overtime game against the Broncos, and he had the kick return touchdown. Oh, man, that is a troll. It's a better troll job than, Amy Adams-Strunk and the Titans wearing Oilers uniforms because, Jacoby Jones, helped the Texans lose a playoff game and then obviously, led them through the playoffs. This has got to be a troll job, right? Jacoby Jones is kind of being used here. It's hey, remember when you helped us beat this team the last time they played here in the playoffs?
Yeah, it's 100%. That's what it is.
I want Jacoby Jones to take a knee.
The Ravens who have 25 Hall of Famers who played on their defense throughout the year.
Yeah. Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Jacoby Jones.
Yeah, even
Joe Flacco.
They could throw Haloti Ngata out there, and that would make more sense.
They brought Ray Rice back.
They did bring back Ray Rice.
Terrell Suggs, speaking of controversial Ravens, remember when he poured bleach on his girlfriend? That's somebody you could bring back out. The Ravens have never cared about what guys do off the field. Ray Lewis, it's not an issue to them. Odell Beckham Jr., hey, he took guys on a boat party during the bye week. Didn't work out for the Giants last time around. The Ravens had an indoor snowball fight at practice. I don't know how they got the snow indoors, but there's video online. Someone threw a snowball at Lamar Jackson. It doesn't sound like they're taking this Texans seriously. Tickets prices for the game, they're dropping. The Ravens overlooking it? The Ravens trying to book AFC Championship tickets? Might have to cancel all those reservations. The Athletic article writes, CJ Stroud landed in a better situation than Bryce Young. F that. He's better. But CJ, write it down. Hey, remember when NBC stopped you from spreading the word of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, by editing out you thanking Jesus? Old Jesus H. Murphy? Remember when they did that? Yeah, they're trying, the NFL and big media, liberal, non-God-fearing media, they're trying to suppress you. You got to win this game so that you can also deliver the word on ABC. And then you could do it on CBS, theoretically, the next week. You're doing it for the Lord. It's a crusade. What else do we have? There's a lot of posts on Ravens Reddit. Do Ravens Redditors, does that count, Sean, as motivational fuel?
Yeah.
A bunch of incels on Ravens Reddit.
Especially the incels.
Especially. We love our incel audience here at ESPN 97.5.
We're now on YouTube.
And on youtube.com/ESPN Houston. We love our incels.
Yeah, no, I'm saying their voice matters in that they are naysayers to the great CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. So yes, the incels voice, some things maybe be a little bit less aggressive on, but they're talking bad about the Texans. We take that seriously.
Hell yeah. I love it. As long as we don't beat ourselves, the Texans have no chance, said one Ravens Redditor. 13 years ago to the day Houston indeed had a problem, I will fight that guy. I will fight that person. If I find that person, I will fight him. And look at my guns out right now on ESPN Houston's YouTube channel. Look at these guns. I will kill you. Not really. I won't. That's assault.
Yep.
That's assault.
Let's try not to get taken off YouTube.
Imagine us getting taken off the YouTube the first day that we're on
yelling,
it.
I will kill
I'll
you.
kill you!
To a random Redditor who ended the message with, see y'all at the bank, Truz.
I'm sorry. He's white. He can't say that. They don't want to play our brand of football. Let's go! Actually, I do. I want to play that brand. So there you go, guys. It's the Paul Gallant Show, ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Saturday, biggest game of the season. Today, just broke my mouse. Whoops. Today, the greatest day of your life.